Continuing from the previous episode 532. Chapter 1461. Yao Xiaotian. Xiaoyan extended his hand and received the blood-colored crystal body suspended in front of him. A frighteningly dark and cold force spread from his hand. It immediately began to freeze one of Xiaoyan's hands. It is indeed the spring blood crystal. This dark and cold force is really frightening. Xiaoyan nodded joyously after seeing this crystal. He shook his hand and the ice crystal cracked. After which, he put the blood crystals into his storage ring. He looked at that Yao Ming and asked, "How can I rescue you? Do I destroy these 4 metal chains? There is no need for that. These metal chains are not the things that restrain me. Instead, it is the yellow spring yin rock attached to the ends of the chains. There is an endless dark and cold force surging from it that exhausts the dou qi within my body, causing me to remain in a weak state. There is an elaborate switch hidden between the metal chain and the mountain body. Once you shatter it, these metal chains will no longer be able to trap me despite being made of a unique material." Yao Ming shook his head and replied, "Oh." Xiaoyan slightly lifted his eyebrows. He moved and appeared at the end of a metal chain. He saw that the metal chain was indeed deeply inserted into a dark black mountain-like outcropping. This mountain shape was not large. It was only over 100 feet in size, but the dark and cold force contained within it caused Xiaoyan to involuntarily shudder despite having the protection of a heavenly flame. "Is this the yellow spring yin rock?" Xiaoyan clenched his fist as he looked at the dark black mountain. A vast and mighty dou qi surged and ruthlessly smashed into the mountain body. Bang! An enormous water wave spread with a rumble from the spot where Xiaoyan's fist landed. However, that dark black mountain merely trembled. Xiaoyan's punch, which could seriously injure an elite band Sheng, failed to even leave behind a slight imprint on this rock. The yellow spring yin rock has been refined by the dark and cold force in the spring for an uncountable number of years. It is extremely hard, possibly even indestructible. Even if I recover my strength, it would still be extremely difficult for me to destroy it. Yao Ming spoke in a hoarse voice after seeing the commotion that Xiaoyan stirred. Xiaoyan slightly knit his brows. He suddenly grabbed a metal chain with his hand and a sizzling white fog was emitted. He quickly removed his hand. A thick white frost had already spread across his palm. The interior of this metal chain seemed to be a void that was filled with a dark and cold force. Only now did he understand why this Yao Ming had been locked in this place for centuries. Yao Ming's shriveled face revealed some disappointment after seeing that Xiaoyan's many attempts were futile. The things in this 9 Serene spring are indeed extraordinary. Xiaoyan shook his head. He ceased doing anything pointless. He curled 2 fingers and an extremely pressurized wisp of his heavenly flame rose. It acted like a needle as it was gently inserted into the point where the metal chain had been inserted into the mountain body. A long while later, he finally touched an unusually hard circular object. He increased the force from his finger and the fire needle was ruthlessly inserted into that hard pellet-like object. Crack! The moment the fire needle pierced the pellet, Xiaoyan quickly sensed an unusual ripple that was emitted from the outcropping. That enormous metal chain actually broke apart. He has actually succeeded? Yao Ming, who was feeling a little disappointed in his heart, lifted his head. He looked at Xiaoyan with eyes that were filled with wild joy. While Xiaoyan was breaking Yao Ming's seal, it was extremely lively within a magnificent palace in the underground Serene snake network. The leaders of the many snake people tribes had gathered there as their laughter echoed through the large hall. A black-clothed man was seated on the throne within the palace. He appeared quite handsome, but there was a dark chillness, which could not be hidden, on his brow. Both of his eyes were slightly shut. A glint flickered in them. His eyes appeared like poisonous snakes that could kill a person in an instant, leaving a chill in one's heart. 2 ladies with enchanting figures carefully massaged the man's body as his large hand continuously roamed over the soft, lovely bodies of the 2 ladies, causing their eyes to appear a little lost. The both of them appeared unusually enchanting. Huh? The shut eyes of the black-clothed man were suddenly opened. A shocked expression was present in his eyes. The seal has been broken? Tribe chief, what is it? An old man with a completely bright red poisonous snake on his shoulders frowned and asked a question. The seal suppressing Yao Ming has been broken. The black-clothed man suddenly stood up. His expression was dark and cold as a faint voice was transmitted into the elder's ear. What? How is that possible? That elder's face drastically changed after hearing this news. He hurriedly withdrew the emotions on his face as glanced at those elders and leaders of the various tribes within the large hall. After which, he softly said, "You should head over quickly. It will be over for the both of us if Yao Ming manages to escape. I will stabilize the situation here before hurrying over to support you. Relax, he will not be able to rise again." The black-clothed old man sinisterly smiled. After which, his body moved, and he disappeared from the throne. "Ha ha, there is an elder who wishes to report something. The tribe chief has gone over to meet him. Everyone, please continue." That elder stood up and smiled. He calmed everyone in the large hall when they saw the black-clothed man disappear. Clang! Xiaoyan broke the final metal chain seal. After which, he dispersed the fire needle. He waved his sleeve and a gentle force supported Yao Ming, who was about to fall. "You have only just managed to escape and the dou qi within your body is completely exhausted. At this moment, even an expert dou zong can kill you. Ha ha, it is unexpected that I, Yao Ming, can really endure until this day. Young friend, may I know your name?" Yao Ming's body was extremely weak. Clearly, he was extremely excited. His eyes landed on Xiaoyan as he laughed. "Xiaoyan, young friend Xiaoyan, I, Yao Ming, will never forget how you have rescued me. As long as I am able to get my revenge, I will use the strength of the entire 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe to help fulfill any request you make." Yao Ming's eyes stared intently at Xiaoyan as he spoke in a deep voice. Xiaoyan smiled upon hearing this offer. He could sense the extremely dense gratitude in Yao Ming's words. Although this gratitude was a result of his hatred for Yao Xiaotian. This person was not the type who would harm someone who had helped him. Xiaoyan sighed in relief after determining this person's character. He flicked his finger and a medicinal bottle flew toward Yao Ming. He said, "Consume some medicinal pills to recover your dou qi first. We cannot remain for too long here. Let's quickly leave this 9 Serene spring. We will go and find trouble with Yao Xiaotian. After you regain your strength." Young friend Xiaoyan is right. Yao Ming nodded and unceremoniously swallowed the bottle of medicinal pills into his stomach. He understood that it was impossible for him to be a match for Yao Xiaotian, in his current condition. "Let's go." Xiaoyan waved his sleeve after having rescued Yao Ming. After which, both of them turned into 2 water arrows that shot up with lightning-like speed. Since Xiaoyan had stayed within the 9 Serene spring for quite a long while, he had exhausted a significant part of the dou qi within his body. Hence, he swiftly took out a couple of medicinal pills and stuffed them into his mouth as a precaution while he hurried out of the spring. Xiaoyan ended up meeting those endless number of strange snakes on the way back. Fortunately, Yao Ming seemed to possess a method to control them. All of the strange snakes fled into the distance after he emitted a strange sound, and Xiaoyan avoided the trouble of fighting with these strange snakes. Xiaoyan and Yao Ming's speed increased significantly in the absence of any obstruction. Within less than 10 minutes, he saw some light in the distance and sighed in relief. Xiaoyan waved his sleeve and suddenly sped up. "We are about to exit." Xiaoyan smiled as he traveled closer to the surface of the lake. His body shook as he grabbed Yao Ming. They broke through the surface of the water and landed on the lake. Bang! A muffled sound was suddenly emitted from the air above after Xiaoyan stabilized his body. A figure fell from the sky as the sharp sound of rushing wind continuously appeared. "Kai Lin?" Xiaoyan's expression changed after seeing that figure. He waved his sleeve and a gentle force surged out. This force received her before Xiaoyan grabbed with his hand and pulled Kai Lin beside him. "You have finally come out." Kai Lin sighed in relief after landing beside Xiaoyan. Her hand hurriedly rubbed away the blood on the corner of her mouth. Xiaoyan's eyes became cold after seeing the trace of blood on the corner of Kai Lin's mouth. He did not open his mouth to ask anything. Instead, he slowly lifted his head. There was a black-clothed person suspended in the air. The black-clothed person was looking at Xiaoyan with an unusually dark and vicious pair of eyes. This person suddenly arrived and dragged the 3 of us out. Qing Lin and the little fairy doctor have been wounded by him. Kai Lin clenched her teeth as she spoke. Xiaoyan looked at a spot a short distance from the spring. Both Qing Lin's and the little fairy doctor's auras were a little chaotic. They had both suffered a serious injury. His eyes became even icy. That black-clothed man in the sky looked at Xiaoyan and the skeleton like Yao Ming with an extremely dense eyes. A vicious smile surfaced on his face. "Little bastard, since you dare to spoil my plans, this king shall bury you in this spring regardless of where you come from. This king will help you take care of these three beauties. This is the price that you will have to pay for your recklessness. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Continuing from the previous episode 533. Chapter 1462. Violent Beating. "Yao Xiaotian, you old bastard. Today, I will tear you into tens of thousands of pieces and throw you into the 10,000 snake cave." Yao Ming's eyes turned blood red as he glared at the black-clothed person in the sky. An endless viciousness shot of his eyes as his roar reverberated through this deep abyss. "Tisk tisk, my good big brother. It is unexpected that you have survived. However, the current you cannot even block one strike from me. You can rest assured that I will not give you a chance to struggle this time around." The man in the sky laughed in a wicked manner after hearing Yao Ming's vicious roar. Xiao Yan was expressionless after hearing the conversation between the two brothers. That Yao Xiaotian should be an intermediate level 1-star Do Sheng. He was a little stronger than Xiao Yan. There was no need to doubt the strength of this Yao Xiaotian since he was able to become the tribal chief of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe. "Brat, regardless of how you managed to sneak into my underground Serene snake network, this underground world is the territory of my 9 Serene deep-ground python. You have nearly ruined my plans. Hence, this king will throw you and that cripple into the 10,000 snake cave." Yao Xiaotian's eyes were extremely ruthless as he stared at Xiao Yan. If he had not left a spiritual imprint within the seal, Xiao Yan would have successfully rescued Yao Ming in secret. Once Yao Ming recovered his strength, he would definitely snatch the position of the tribal chief. At that time, there would be another round of trouble. You should try to recover your Do Qi as soon as possible. Leave this fellow to me. Xiao Yan did not react much as he looked at Yao Xiaotian's sinister eyes. He waved his sleeve and a gentle force delivered Yao Ming to the side of the lake while he spoke in a faint voice. "Be careful. This fellow currently possesses the strength of an intermediate level 1-star Do Sheng. Moreover, he has also practiced many of the ultimate skills of my 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe. It is not easy to deal with him," Yao Ming warned. Currently, the most important thing that he needed to do was to quickly recover his Do Qi. Yao Xiaotian was afraid of Yao Ming, so he would not turn this into a big matter. However, he had definitely accumulated his own supporters after all these years. Even though other elders might not dare to intervene because of Yao Ming's identity, Yao Xiaotian's cronies would without a doubt obey his orders. "Aye," Xiao Yan nodded. He took out 2 jade bottles and tossed them to Yao Ming and Kai Lin. He stepped on the surface of the lake and a circular ripple was formed. His body appeared a short distance in front of Yao Xiaotian. After which, he looked at Yao Xiaotian and said, "This is the first time that I have fought against an elite Do Sheng of the same level after having advanced to the Do Sheng class. Relax, this 9 Serene spring can be considered a good place. Consider yourself fortunate to die here." Yao Xiaotian laughed in a strange manner. "It is likely that you are quite talented to reach the Do Sheng class at such a young age. However, you should never have gotten involved with this cripple. Since you have done so, no one will be able to rescue you today." Xiao Yan smiled in a non-committal manner. "This king does not wish to know your name. Today, you can peacefully die here." The smile on Yao Xiaotian's face slowly disappeared. His eyes were vile as they stared at Xiao Yan like poisonous snakes. His body shook abruptly as a monstrous wicked aura suddenly surged out of his body. The entire cave trembled. An energy lightning formed a 10,000-foot large palm in the air above him from all directions. An extremely dark and cold force was contained within this large palm. "Die." That large hand suddenly fell after this word sounded. A frightening force shook the space around Xiao Yan until it crumbled. "You have really overestimated yourself." Xiao Yan lifted his head. He looked at the palm, which was rapidly being magnified in his eyes, and smiled. He swung his sleeve and a hot flame surged into all directions, turning the space around him into a sea of fire in an instant. This flame lingered around the large hand, and its frightening temperature swiftly caused the hand to emit a dense, white fog. "Heavenly flame?" Yao Xiaotian slightly knit his brows after seeing the sea of flames vaporize his energy palm. He let out a cold snort and both of his hands formed many complicated hand seals with lightning-like speed. The energy above the lake once again gathered after those hand seals had formed. Yellow spring finger, the energy gathered in a mighty manner. It swiftly gathered into a deep yellow finger that was a couple thousand feet long. The finger was under Yao Xiaotian's control. The surface of this finger was extremely rough, but it was filled with a faint destructive force. It looked just like a sky-supporting pillar that stood between the sky and the land if one saw it from a distance. A yellow spring finger deciding life and death. Yao Xiaotian coldly laughed as he looked at Xiaoyan below. He suddenly pressed his finger down. That enormous yellow spring finger in the sky rumbled and rushed down as well. The entire ceiling crumbled as the surrounding walls of the deep abyss were blasted apart, forming an enormous crack. This attack shook the land and mountains, appearing as though an earthquake had occurred. TN Class Do skill, huh? Surprise flashed across Xiaoyan's eyes as he felt the pressure from this yellow spring finger. The TN Class Do skill unleashed by an elite Do Sheng could easily destroy an entire city. How arrogant! You do not have that ability. Xiaoyan's foot stepped forward as a vast and mighty Do Qi swiftly gathered on his right hand. A black light erupted almost instantly. Within a couple of blinks, it had turned into a couple thousand-foot large black light sphere. This was the first time Xiaoyan had used the Great Heaven Creation Palm after advancing to the Do Sheng class. Its might and aura had undoubtedly soared 100 times from before. Buzz buzz. The black light sphere formed and unleashed a frightening suction force. The surrounding abyss cracked apart. Large rocks continued to fall before they were absorbed by the light sphere and disappeared. Great Heaven Creation Palm, destroy it. Xiaoyan lifted his head. He flicked his finger and the enormous black light sphere rushed up. It swiftly appeared where the yellow spring finger was located before it suddenly began to wildly rotate. Crack crack! The yellow finger pressed against the black-colored light sphere. A frightening energy swept across the abyss like a storm. Rumble! Black light wildly rotated as wave after wave of destructive forces spread apart. That yellow spring finger was dragged into the black light 10 feet at a time. Finally, yellow spring finger was swallowed by the black light sphere in front of Yao Xiaotian's shocked and furious eyes. Brat! I have underestimated you. A grave expression flashed across Yao Xiaotian's eyes after seeing the yellow spring finger break. His body swayed and a cold Do Qi surged out of his body in all directions. His body also began to suddenly swell at this moment. In the blink of an eye, he had transformed into a 10,000-foot-long black snake. A monstrous ferocity radiated from the snake's body. He appeared just like an evil god that had descended. Sealing skill, Yellow Spring Great Seal. Yao Xiaotian furiously roared at the ceiling after transforming into his actual snake form. A frightening dark and cold force suddenly erupted from the 9 Serene spring below as he roared. Under Yao Tianxiao's control, this dark and cold force along with his own monstrous Do Qi formed a black mountain-like seal. That seal was covered with numerous mysterious symbols. Xiaoyan, be careful. That is one of the key Do skills of the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe. It is a TN class middle-level Do skill. If you are suppressed by it, you will be sealed within the 9 Serene spring. Back then, I was struck by this skill and ended up suffering for hundreds of years. Yao Ming's warning sounded beside Xiaoyan's ear after this giant seal appeared. Brat! Go and die! Yao Xiaotian loudly laughed after seeing this giant seal form. He swung his huge tail and the black giant seal suddenly turned. It shot toward Xiaoyan, and a strength that was indescribably dark and cold caused the surrounding space to become vicious. Suppress! The black giant seal trembled as this cry sounded. The seal penetrated space and arrived above Xiaoyan's head in a flash. Finally, it abruptly fell and ruthlessly smashed into the 9 Serene spring. Bang bang! The black giant seal landed on the surface of the lake and many large water pillars shot out as a frightening circular ripple spread. Any object within this deep abyss was flattened in an instant. Ha ha! The giant snake that Yao Xiaotian had transformed into suddenly laughed after seeing this destruction. With the help of the dark and cold force within the 9 Serene spring, his seal would immediately restrict the Do Qi within the target's body even if the other party was also an intermediate level 1-star Do Sheng. Even less needed to be said for Xiaoyan, who was a little weaker than him. This is bad. Yao Ming, who was recovering his Do Qi, felt his heart sink after seeing the seal form. Bang! However, Yao Xiaotian's laughter had just appeared when the giant black seal pressing against the 9 Serene spring violently trembled. A loud sound appeared a moment later. That giant seal was shaken until it flew backwards. What? Yao Xiaotian was immediately shocked upon seeing the seal get knocked back. You are not qualified to suppress me. Bam! The 9 Serene spring was suddenly blasted apart after this thunder-like laugh was emitted. A bright golden light erupted like a sun. In a flash, it appeared above Yao Xiaotian's head. The large golden hand contained a 4-colored fire lotus rotating above it. After which, the hand furiously slammed down and mercilessly struck the head of that enormous snake. Boom! The fire lotus exploded upon contact. That destructive force was slammed into Yao Xiaotian's body by the frightening strength of the golden hand. Yao Xiaotian's huge body appeared as though it had swallowed a countless number of thunderbolts as a rumbling sound continuously appeared. Blood that contained some heat exploded out of his body. Bang! Then Yao Xiaotian's body flew back and finally crashed into a mountain wall. He shattered it into dust. A, B, C. Kai. A golden light flickered as giant golden figure descended and ruthlessly stepped on Yao Xiaotian's enormous snake body. It swung its giant fist and ruthlessly smashed it down. The heavenly flame's strength surrounding the fist caused Yao Xiaotian to emit a miserable cry. Bastard! You dare to behave atrociously in this my 9 Serene deep ground python's territory. Serene snake guards, capture this person. A furious roar suddenly sounded in the sky while Xiaoyan was preparing to smash this fellow to death. A countless number of sounds of rushing wind were emitted from the entire mountain range. Wave after wave of powerful auras erupted. Clearly, the battle between Xiaoyan and Yao Xiaotian had attracted the attention of the entire 9 Serene deep ground python tribe. A. How the fuck is there a mountain and an abyss? Isn't a tunnel above the abyss as well? Can I just change mountain into wall? B. Okay, let's change that. C. I think the author forgot that they were in the abyss and how he had described it. Later on, it appears to just be a hole in the ground that opens to outside world, even though he first described it as an underground network of tunnels that led to the spring. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 534, chapter 1463, 9 Serene Profound Scepter. Xiaoyan slowly withdrew his fist after hearing the furious roar that resounded from above, but both of his feet continued to ruthlessly step on Yao Xiaotian's body. Heavenly flame spread over his feet as they were coincidentally pressed on a spot around 7 inches from the middle of the snake's body. This was the fatal spot of the snake clan. If it was struck, even an elite Do Sheng would end up suffering. Xiaoyan lifted his head. He looked at the sky, only to find that the sky was currently filled with many experts from the 9 Serene deep ground python tribe. These people were glaring at him with furious eyes. Regardless of how one put it, the 9 Serene deep ground python tribe was one of the 3 largest tribes in the magical beast world. At this moment, this person had not only snuck into their territory, he had even beaten up their chief. No one would be able to endure this humiliation. Brat, who are you? You actually dare to act wildly within the territory of my 9 Serene deep ground python tribe. An old man with a completely bright red poisonous snake on his shoulder stood in the sky. His eyes were ruthlessly staring at Xiaoyan as he cried out. He glanced at the giant black snake under the golden giant, Xiaoyan, after letting out a cold cry. His heart shook slightly. It was unexpected that Yao Xiaotian would be suppressed to such an extent by this unknown person despite his strength. We must restrain him today, regardless of who he is. Otherwise, how will our 9 Serene deep ground python tribe survive in the magical beast world if this matter spreads? A gray-haired old man beside the elder furiously cried out. Serene snake guards, listen up. Capture this person. The gray-haired old man angrily ordered them to act. Understood. An orderly response was emitted after the old man's furious cry was heard. The sound of wind splitting could be heard. Numerous figures with snake-shaped armor rushed out of the various mountains. They appeared around Xiaoyan within a couple of flashes. The many auras all locked onto him. The foundation of this 9 Serene deep ground python is indeed quite strong. These Serene snake guards all possess an extremely powerful aura. Moreover, their movement seems to suggest a perfect cooperation. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over the 100 Serene snake guards and a surprise flashed across his heart. This elite army was something that the Sky Mansion Alliance did not possess. Bang! A force suddenly erupted from Yao Xiaotian's body under Xiao Yan's feet while Xiao Yan's heart was feeling surprised. Yao Xiaotian forcefully escaped Xiao Yan's restraints and hurried to the sky in a somewhat miserable manner. Both of his eyes were blood red as he looked at Xiao Yan and roared, "All elders, listen up, create the 10,000 snake grand formation. Kill this fellow." The many elders in the sky were slightly startled after hearing Yao Xiaotian's roar, but they quickly voiced their acknowledgement in respectful tones. The sound of rushing wind appeared. These elders with great strength spread apart in the sky. They formed a mysterious formation that trapped Xiao Yan inside. Xiao Yan frowned slightly after seeing these elders intervene. Even a hero would not be able to fight against so many alone. This was the headquarters of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe. It would be a little difficult for him to block these continuous attacks. After all, that Yao Xiaotian and the elder with a bright red snake on his shoulder were all genuine Do Shengs. The leaders from the various tribes, please head back. Allow me to resolve this matter personally. Yao Xiaotian's eyes flickered after trapping Xiao Yan. He suddenly turned his head and spoke in a deep voice to the leaders of the various tribes a short distance away. The leaders from the various tribes hesitated for a moment after hearing these words, but they slowly nodded, not daring to disobey the orders of the tribal chief. He, Yao Xiaotian, are you planning to get rid of me without anyone knowing after chasing these leaders of the various tribes away? However, a cold laugh suddenly sounded after Yao Xiaotian cried out. A figure rushed out and appeared in the air. The figure that had appeared was naturally Yao Ming, who had been rescued from the 9 Serene Spring by Xiao Yan. However, his body was no longer shriveled. Instead, it had become much larger. His face was a little dark as a sinister aura spread while his eyes flickered. The many members of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe were stunned after seeing Yao Ming's face, which was a little similar to Yao Xiaotian's face. Some of the elders finally cried out in disbelief a moment later. Tribal Chief Yao Ming, how is it possible? Didn't you die after your training went wrong? Tribal Chief Yao Ming? It seems like he is Tribal Chief Xiaotian's brother, the previous Tribal Chief, but Tribal Chief Xiaotian had said that he had died after something went wrong with his training. He has already been missing for hundreds of years. How can he appear again? Yao Xiaotian's face twitched after hearing the many conversations that popped up all over. His eyes shifted to that elder with a bright red snake on his shoulder. Suddenly, he cried out in a cold voice, "Be quiet. Do not be deceived by this person. This person is definitely that other fellow's accomplice. He has purposefully disguised himself as my big brother in order to cause unrest in our tribe. All elders, why aren't you activating the formation? Kill him!" Those elders were startled after hearing Yao Xiaotian's command, but they were a little hesitant to attack. "Ha ha, Yao Xiaotian, are you so anxious to silence me?" Yao Ming laughed at the sky. After which, his eyes swept over a couple of elders, Elder Xian, Elder Ming, Elder Lu. The 3 of you were closest to me back then. Don't tell me that even you cannot recognize me? Those 3 white-haired elders swept their eyes over Yao Ming after hearing his laugh. Some excitement rose on their faces as they said, "He really seems to be Tribal Chief Yao Ming. The 3 of us are quite familiar with his aura. Ming Kang, the 3 of you should not cause confusion within the tribe. Currently, the tribal chief of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe is Yao Xiaotian. Are you attempting to betray the tribe?" The elder with a bright red snake on his shoulder glared at the 3 of them with sinister eyes as he coldly questioned them. "First elder, this is really Tribal Chief Yao Ming. Is there some misunderstanding here?" The 3 elders hurriedly replied. "There is no misunderstanding. Back then, the reason I disappeared was precisely because of this good brother of mine and the first elder. They had joined hands to poison and injure me. They even sealed me at the bottom of the 9 Serene Spring. If I had not been rescued this time around, I would have spent my entire life sealed under the 9 Serene Spring. They found out that I escaped today and naturally need to quickly silence me." Yao Ming faintly laughed. "What?" Yao Ming's words were undoubtedly like thunder as they exploded in everyone's ears. All pairs of eyes gathered on Yao Xiaotian and the first elder. "First elder, is what Tribal Chief Yao Ming said true?" Some of the elders immediately cried out. "This person is a fake. Can you trust his words?" The gray-robed First Elder replied in a sinister voice. He quickly waved his sleeve and continued in a dense voice, "In that case, this elderly self shall personally capture him. I will get him to speak the truth and hold him accountable to everyone." The First Elder's body suddenly disappeared after his words rang out. He was already in front of Yao Ming when he appeared. His shriveled hands had become incomparably black as an intense stench spread from them. "Withered leaf, great poison palm. First Elder, you were really quick in your attempt to silence him." Wind had just risen from the First Elder's palm when a loud laugh sounded from below and a golden light surged. The enormous golden human figure appeared in between Yao Ming and the First Elder. The golden light surged and violently collided with the First Elder. Clang! An energy hurricane swept out as the two collided. The energy shook the large mountains below until they began to crack apart. The First Elder took 2 steps back after this collision. His eyes were gloomy as he glared at the golden human figure in front of Yao Ming. A ferocious expression appeared on his face. "Brat, you are seeking death." "HMPH, First Elder, you seem to be even more anxious." Yao Ming took a step forward. His eyes were dark and cold as he glared at the First Elder. He suddenly widened his mouth. A black light shot out and turned into a 5-foot-long scepter. This scepter was completely black with 2 lifelike poisonous snakes twisting at the top. A fist-sized black bead was present between the 2 snakes. It emitted a faint cold glow. "All elders, do you still recognize this thing? The 9 Serene Profound Scepter. It is actually the 9 Serene Profound Scepter. That has been lost for hundreds of years. It is the keepsake of the tribal chief." The expressions of all the elders in the sky drastically changed after seeing that black scepter appear. A wild heat surged within their eyes. They could feel a pressure from within their blood that originated from the scepter. It was rumored that the snake bead on the 9 Serene Profound Scepter possessed an extremely pure 9 Serene King tribe bloodline. If the current 9 Serene Deep Ground Serpent tribe could obtain this bloodline, it would undoubtedly allow them to greatly extend the rate at which their blood was thinning. No wonder I was unable to find the 9 Serene Profound Scepter. No matter where I searched, it had been swallowed into your stomach. Yao Xiaotian's expression was extremely gloomy as he looked at Yao Ming. His fists were tightly clenched. "All elders, we must not only hear one side of the story. Everyone is aware of how the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe is under the leadership of Tribal Chief Xiaotian. Even though Yao Ming is the previous tribal chief, he was appointed in the past. If he is willing to hand over the 9 Serene Profound Scepter, he will have a place in this 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe in the future." The First Elder rulously glared at Xiaoyan as he opened his mouth and cried out. "That's right, Tribal Chief Yao Ming. You should hand over the 9 Serene Profound Scepter." To Tribal Chief Xiaotian, some of the elders also opened their mouths and spoke at this moment. They were Yao Xiaotian's cronies. Naturally, they understood who they should help at this moment. Yao Ming coldly smiled upon hearing these elders' words. "First Elder is wrong. Whoever possesses the 9 Serene Profound Scepter is the tribal chief of our 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe. This has been the rule of our tribe across every generations. When we allowed Yao Xiaotian to be the tribal chief back then, we agreed that it was only temporarily. Moreover, all of you also agreed that you would return the position of the tribal chief to Tribal Chief Yao Ming if he returns." Those 3 elders, who had been named by Yao Ming earlier, faced each other before speaking at the same time. None of them were ordinary people. They could guess the truth of the matter. The 3 elders are right. There were clearly many people supporting Yao Ming among these elders. Hence, some voices of agreement appeared. "Bastard, go and die." Yao Xiaotian's and the First Elder's expression turned slightly cold after hearing these words. They exchanged glances and the 2 of them rushed out at the same time. They appeared in front of Xiaoyan in a flash. A frightening wind swept apart as they ruthlessly attacked Xiaoyan. It seemed that they wished to use a blitzkrieg tactic to finish off Xiaoyan and Yao Ming. Only then would they be able to stabilize the situation. The 2 Do Shengs attacked at the same time. That momentum could be called earth-shaking. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 535. Chapter 1464. All had been decided. A solemn feeling flashed across Xiaoyan's heart when he saw Yao Xiaotian and the First Elder attack at the same time. One of these people was an intermediate 1-star Do Sheng while the other was an advanced 1-star Do Sheng. They were terrifyingly strong after joining hands. Xiaoyan would end up finding himself facing a life-threatening danger if he underestimated their strengths. You two are really anxious. It is likely that everyone present knows just what the both of you are planning to do. Xiaoyan's body shook. He unleashed the King Kong glass body to its limit. His originally large body once again swelled until it reached a 99-foot peak. A bright golden light lingered over the surface of his body before gradually turning into a dark golden color. His golden skin shook as a faint thunderous roar shot out of his pores. Clan tattoo appear. Xiaoyan was dissatisfied despite having unleashed the King Kong glass body to its peak. His hands formed a seal and a mysterious clan tattoo swiftly appeared on his forehead. The moment the clan tattoo formed, Xiaoyan's aura wildly soared in front of the astounded eyes of Yao Xiaotian and the First Elder. In the blink of an eye, he had become an advanced 1-star Do Sheng. His aura was even a little stronger than that First Elder. What kind of secret technique has this fellow used? He is actually able to strengthen himself by 2 levels. Even some ordinary TN-class secret techniques are unable to do this. The hearts of those two were like a stormy sea. There was an enormous gap between each level within the Do Sheng class, yet Xiaoyan was able to instantly leap from the initial level to the advanced level. Such a powerful secret technique was extremely rare. Ha! Allow me to test just how powerful 2 Do Sheng are when combined. Xiaoyan laughed at the sky after sensing this vast and mighty strength that could control the world. His laughter was like thunder that reverberated across the sky. The blood within some of the weaker individuals churned after hearing this laughter. They quickly stepped back. Their blood was already churning despite the fact that Xiaoyan did not want to attack them. If Xiaoyan felt a murderous desire, just his laughter alone would be able to shatter the meridians of any Do Zong class expert. This might was truly something that only belonged to elite Do Shengs. Just a laugh alone could shatter one's soul. Arrogant, the First Elder furiously laughed. His hand turned completely black as a rich stench pounced over. Just a touch from the lethal poison on his hands would cause even an elite band Sheng to suffer. Rumble. Xiaoyan did not withdraw. He faced the combined attacks of the First Elder and Yao Xiaotian. Both of his hands were waved and a frightening wind was formed like a storm. His fists collided violently with the 2 individuals, 2 fists against 4 palms. Space itself collapsed each time they made contact. A frightening ripple shook the mountains within a 50-kilometer radius until they collapsed. Many 10,000-foot wide pits also appeared on the ground. The destructive force from a fight between elite Do Shengs was mind-numbing. The elders and members from the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe hurriedly pulled back after seeing the terrifying battle in the sky. Should we intervene? From the looks of it, that golden light person seems to be extremely powerful. Even the First Elder and Tribal Chief Xiaotian combined cannot gain an advantage against him. Do not be anxious. That person seems to be helping Tribal Chief Yao Ming. During these years, Yao Xiaotian has basically turned the tribe into a dictatorship. He is far too forceful and cannot compare with Tribal Chief Yao Ming. It might be good for us if Tribal Chief Yao Ming returns to being the Tribal Chief. However, Tribal Chief Yao Xiaotian has groomed many close aides during these years. Look at those fellows. They are already planning on secretly attacking Tribal Chief Yao Ming. HMPH, stop them. A group of extremely old elders gathered together and engaged in a private conversation. A moment later, many pairs of eyes were suddenly thrown toward a group that appeared slightly younger. Immediately, Do Chi surged out of their bodies. They whizzed forward in a flash and blocked that group that was ready to create trouble. Elder Ming, what are you planning to do? The tribal chief is in trouble. It is fine if you do not go and rescue him, yet you dare to stop us. What is your motive? HMPH, a group of individuals from the younger generation actually dares to scream in front of this elderly self. Capture them. Yellow Spring Finger, Quiet Ghost Poison Claw, a huge energy finger once again descended from the sky. It was accompanied by an extremely dark and cold energy as it ruthlessly pressed toward Xiaoyan. At the same time, that First Elder also swiftly approached. His hand claw had formed a black viscous liquid. Even the air itself had been corroded into nothing as the liquid fell. Great Heaven Creation Palm, God Seal Skill, 5 seals combined. Xiaoyan's expression was unusually grave as these 2 wild attacks approached. His right hand was curled as an enormous black light sphere was formed above it. His left hand also formed numerous seals with lightning-like speed before 5 energy palms were swiftly formed. They merged together and turned into a crystallized palm. God Seal Skill, 5 seals combined, was the first time Xiaoyan had merged all 5 seals together. Its strength was not weaker than the Great Heaven Creation Palm. Bang bang! Xiaoyan's right hand created the Great Heaven Creation Palm while his left hand created the 5 seals combined. The both of them were unleashed together and collided with the enormous energy finger and the First Elder's Ghost Claw. The entire area was silent as the collision occurred. An energy storm was suddenly formed all from the collision. The space within a 10,000-foot radius completely collapsed at this moment. All the mountain peaks were shattered into dust. Bam bam! Xiaoyan, the golden light figure, staggered back in the sky while Yao Xiaotian and the First Elder were both pushed back. The blood within their bodies churned as they looked at Xiaoyan with some shock in their eyes. They were really unable to believe that Xiaoyan was able to fight equally in a head-on collision with the two of them using just his initial 1-star Do Sheng strength. Damn it, just where did Yao Ming find such a helper? He is ridiculously powerful. Yao Xiaotian's expression was extremely gloomy. His heart felt a vague unease. Xiaoyan's powerful strength had finally caused him to feel that the situation had become a little troublesome. The matter today would likely not be resolved as easily as he had imagined. Elder Ming, you bastards dare to attack the members of the tribe? Yao Xiaotian shifted his eyes. Suddenly he saw Elder Ming's group, which had stopped all of his close aides. He immediately became extremely furious. Tribal Chief Xiaotian, this matter has not been fully investigated. Naturally, we cannot allow others to capture Tribal Chief Yao Ming. Elder Ming cried out, Bastard! Yao Xiaotian was so furious that his body began to tremble. He had not expected these old fellows to turn against him. Not only did they not lend him a hand, they had also become a hindrance. First Elder, what should we do now? Yao Xiaotian returned his eyes to the First Elder as he asked in a dark voice. Back then, I had told you to get rid of all those old fellows, yet you insisted on keeping them. Now, you have allowed an enemy to grow. The First Elder chided Yao Xiaotian. He also realized that saying this would not help the situation. He clenched his teeth and said, I will block this brat. You should find an opportunity to attack Yao Ming. These old fellows will not dare to do anything as long as we kill him. Yao Xiaotian had just nodded after hearing this when a dangerous laugh suddenly echoed. There is no need to find an opportunity. You can do it now. Yao Ming's clothes fluttered as he stood behind Xiaoyan. His eyes were like sharp blades as they shot at Yao Xiaotian and the First Elder. He ceased hiding at this moment. He lifted his foot and slowly walked forward. As he stepped forward, an aura that was even more powerful and frightening than anyone present surged out. 2-star Do Sheng? Yao Xiaotian and the First Elder's expression immediately turned pale after sensing the strength of this aura. Neither of them had expected Yao Ming to stronger instead of deteriorating since he had been suppressed for so many years. He had actually soared from the Ban Sheng class back then to a 2-star Do Sheng. He is indeed worthy of being Tribal Chief Yao Ming. This talent is many times greater than Yao Xiaotian. Elder Ming's group also revealed a wild joy in their eyes. They were magical beasts. Their training speed might not be comparable to a human, but they possessed extremely long lifespans. Within the magical beast world, spending a couple of hundred years to advance from the Ban Sheng class to a 2-star Do Sheng was already quite fast. Brother Xiaoyan, Yao Ming will remember this favor of yours. Once I finish off this bastard, I will even be willing to share the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe with you in the future. Yao Ming's eyes landed on Xiaoyan before he suddenly bowed to him. His deep voice contained a great amount of gratitude. If Xiaoyan had not rescued him from the spring, provided him with medicinal pills, and blocked these two for such a long time, he would likely have ended up dying with hatred today. How much of your strength have you recovered? Xiaoyan smiled and inquired. 60%. However, it is more than enough to finish off Yao Xiaotian. Yao Ming loudly laughed. In that case, leave the First Elder to me. You should properly settle the debt between the both of you. Xiaoyan faintly laughed. Yao Ming nodded. He did not say anything unnecessary as he turned around. His dark and vicious eyes locked onto the pale-looking Yao Xiaotian. He stepped through the air and slowly walked toward Yao Xiaotian. My good brother, today, allow me to return all the bitterness I have felt these hundreds of years to you. Yao Ming appeared in front of Yao Xiaotian within a couple of flashes. A ferocious expression slowly rose onto his face. Xiao Yan's body moved, and he appeared in front of that first elder after Yao Ming acted. He grinned at the first elder, but the first elder felt his entire body turn cold when he noticed that smile. He understood that everything had already been decided. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 536. Chapter 1465. Demonic Saint, Sheng, Huang Quan. Bang! Xiao Yan's punch collided with the smelly dense black do-chi palm wind of the first elder. A hot fire seedling suddenly leapt forward and vaporized that lethal poisonous wisp. The powerful force also caused the first elder to stagger back. The blood within his body even began to churn. The heavenly flame's strength caused him to feel a little terrible. First elder, you should just surrender. You cannot defeat me. Yao Xiaotian will definitely be defeated by Yao Ming within 10 exchanges. Once he becomes free, your fate will likely be quite terrible. The golden light giant that Xiao Yan had transformed into looked down at the first elder a short distance away and laughed. The first elder's face twitched upon hearing this suggestion. His peripheral vision swept over Yao Xiaotian's battleground. His heart slightly sank. At this moment, Yao Xiaotian had been suppressed by Yao Ming until he did not have the ability to retaliate. From the looks of this miserable fight, it was obvious that Yao Xiaotian would not be able to last for long. Bastard! All these years of effort have come to naught. The first elder felt a fury and dissatisfaction within his heart. He had originally thought that they had already suppressed the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe until it was under their control. However, the harsh reality told them that this control was an illusion. Once they met with danger, this so-called control became a joke. My good brother, you have made so little progress after so many years. You have really disappointed me. A cold laugh suddenly sounded from a short distance away while this furious thought lingered within the first elder's heart. A shockingly loud sound appeared, and soon after, Yao Xiaotian screamed. Has he been defeated? The first elder's heart pounded after this miserable screech sounded. He hurriedly turned his head, only to see that Yao Xiaotian was lying on the top of a mountain like a dead dog. Over half of the towering mountain had collapsed. The fight between elite Do Shengs had easily turned an entire mountain into dust. Bang! Yao Ming violently stomped on Yao Xiaotian's body. A frightening wind erupted from his foot, blasting the huge rocks around into dust. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out of Yao Xiaotian. Fresh blood and some shattered internal organs were spat out of his mouth again. The eyes of many members of the 9 Serene deep-ground python tribe twitched upon seeing this brutal attack. The fight between the two was far too ferocious. Yao Xiaotian appeared extremely miserable, but Yao Ming's body was also covered in blood. Many bloody wounds were present on his body. Blood dripped down from his head, causing his face to appear extremely ferocious. During the fight with Yao Xiaotian, Xiao Ming truly exemplified what it meant to not hold back in a fight. Otherwise, it would have been somewhat impossible for him to finish off a 1-star Do Sheng this quickly. Looks like this Yao Ming does indeed feel a monstrous hatred for Yao Xiaotian. All of his strikes were extremely ruthless. Xiao Yan was a little speechless after seeing Yao Ming's and Yao Xiaotian's blood-covered bodies. This was really an all-out battle. Big brother, please let me off. Back then, I was tempted by the first elder in committing those beast-like actions. Yao Xiaotian sharily cried out. His vicious face revealed a horrified expression as his heart was being stepped on by Yao Ming. Are you only aware that I am your elder brother now? The bitterness I have suffered during these few hundred years has all been thanks to you. Yao Ming's voice was dense. He slowly lowered his body and his hand rubbed Yao Xiaotian's head. That blood-covered face suddenly revealed a gentleness. Back then, I truly regarded you as a brother. If you had not betrayed me, the position of tribal chief would have been yours sooner or later. You got to enjoy all the good things since you were young. You can forget about having a good life if you kill me. Yao Xiaotian trembled as he sensed Yao Ming's touch. He could sense the murderous desire in Yao Ming's heart. Soon a savage expression flashed over Yao Xiaotian's eyes. Yao Ming's eyes turned dark and cold as Yao Xiaotian was about to circulate his do qi to explode his body. Yao Ming's hand was like a sharp blade as it was ruthlessly inserted into Yao Xiaotian's head. Fresh blood came spluttering out along with Yao Xiaotian's brain. Bang! Yao Ming was without expression as his hand was inserted into Yao Xiaotian's head. After which, he slowly withdrew it. There was a round black fist-sized bead in his hands. The bead was smooth as a black fog vaguely flowed within it. It agglomerated into a screeching face, which resembled Yao Xiaotian. All the 9 serene deep-ground pythons in the area looked at that mountain. They could sense Yao Xiaotian's aura and the ripple from his blood completely vanish from this world. The expressions of those who were fighting some of the older elders also paled at this moment. Their bodies trembled. None of them dared to move. Grief flashed across Yao Ming's eyes as he held that black bead. His heart did not feel much joy despite having taken his revenge. Brothers killing each other was perhaps the most tragic scene in the world. Gulp. The first elder in the sky slowly swallowed his saliva. He had not expected Yao Ming to be this ruthless. Yao Ming did not give Yao Xiaotian a chance to survive. Even Yao Xiaotian's monster core was forcefully extracted by Yao Ming. Clearly, Yao Ming did not wish to give Yao Xiaotian a chance to make a comeback. Xiao Yan looked at Yao Ming, who was standing still beside Yao Xiaotian's corpse. He did not say anything to disturb Yao Ming. Xiao Yan also had brothers. Hence, he also understood just what kind of pain he would end up feeling in his heart if he had to attack Xiao Ding or Xiao Li. Although Yao Xiaotian was the first to betray Yao Ming, the both of them still shared the same blood. First elder, it is your turn next. Yao Ming let out a long sigh as he looked at the sky. He waved his sleeve and stored away Yao Xiaotian's corpse. After which, he lifted his head with a ferocious expression, looked at the first elder, and spoke in a dense voice. The first elder trembled after seeing Yao Ming's extremely ferocious eyes. He understood that his fate would undoubtedly be many times more miserable than Yao Xiaotian if he landed in Yao Ming's hands. Demon Snake Sky Explosion. The gaze of the first elder swiftly swept over Yao Ming and Xiao Yan. He suddenly clenched his teeth. Both of his hands rapidly formed a strong hand seal. Then, his body swelled and his skin rapidly wiggled. It seemed as though something was about to break out of his body. Xiao Yan knit his brow upon seeing this. He quickly stepped back, feeling somewhat uneasy. He actually dares to self-destruct. Yao Ming was also startled by the first elder's decisive decision. His body also quickly pulled back. Bang! The body of the first elder finally exploded in an earth-shaking manner while Xiao Yan and Yao Ming were hurrying away. A frightening energy instantly flattened the mountains within a 10,000-foot radius. Chi! Numerous black energy snakes rushed out in all directions when this assault of energy was unleashed. These black snakes swiftly vanished upon contact with the ground. He did not self-destruct. This old fellow is really cunning. He abandoned his physical body and hid his monster core in an avatar. Surprise flashed across Xiao Yan's heart as he observed these snakes. This old man was really decisive. Having lost his physical body, his strength would greatly decline. There was no telling how long it would take for him to recover to his peak. HMPH, this old ghost has been let off too easy. The energy assault slowly disappeared. Yao Ming's body flashed and appeared beside Xiao Yan. He issued a command to the members of the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe. Conduct a search within 5,000 kilometers. We must find that old ghost. Understood. Some elders hurriedly and respectfully replied after hearing this command. Yao Ming had boasted a strong prestige within the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe. Although he had been missing for hundreds of years, his ferocity and might when killing Yao Xiaotian earlier was sufficient to frighten all the members of the tribe. Congratulations to Tribal Chief in regaining your position. We will definitely pledge our loyalty until we die. Those extremely senior elders swiftly stepped forward and respectfully pledged themselves to Yao Ming. All elders, thank you for your hard work. The matters within the tribe will be handled by all of you. There is no need to leave those who ought not to remain. Yao Ming spoke in a faint voice. If he wished to regain authority, he needed to purge Yao Xiaotian's cronies. Otherwise, they bring trouble sooner or later. Understood. Those elders respectfully replied upon hearing these orders. Xiao Yan watched Yao Ming settle the matters within the tribe in an orderly fashion, causing him to nod. Although this person had been sealed for many years, his demeanor had not faltered. The tribe would become powerful if given time to develop. Swoosh! Kai Lin's group flew out of the deep abyss as Xiao Yan ceased activating the King Kong glass body. Finally, they floated beside him. They had not been able to intervene in the battle earlier. Hence, they did not reveal themselves. Brother Xiaoyan, thank you for lending a hand this time around. Yao Ming turned around. Zhe cupped his hands to Xiaoyan and respectfully thanked him after issuing some instructions. Xiaoyan grinned and waved his hand. Brother Xiaoyan, there is no way for me to repay this great favor of yours. Nevertheless, I must still repay you. Ha ha, do not rush to reject my offer. I think that you will be interested in the reward I speak of. Yao Ming mused for a moment before he laughed and spoke. Oh, Xiaoyan lifted his brows slightly. I wonder if Brother Xiaoyan has heard of the demon saint, Sheng, Huang Quan, Spring. Yao Ming smiled and asked, Demon Saint Huang Quan? Xiaoyan was startled. His expression finally varied. That demon saint Huang Quan who once had half a foot in the Do D class during ancient times. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.